Ray Vaughn, TDE's newest slash latest artist, came out with his debut mixtape, The Good, the Bad, the Dollar Menu. Now I knew about this because I was on TDE's emailing list and they emailed me that. They emailed me a ad for the album. I'm on the emailing list because I bought something from TDE before and they just steadily email me newsletters and stuff like that. Not like I'm an insider, but if TDE, if y'all want to email me something like a new Absol album, hey, I'm cool with that as well. But this is Ray Vaughn's debut mixtape. And Ray Vaughn, I think, has made the most noise with him and his beef, not beef, but like playful beef that he had when responding to Joey earlier this year. Ray Vaughn was putting the West Coast on his back because Kendrick was, he was hibernating like he usually does. So Ray Vaughn had to step out. And the pop out was for everybody who didn't have a daddy. That's what he said. Um, but yeah, Ray Vaughn has had plenty of features on other notable TDE artists' previous projects like J Rock, I believe Isaiah Rashad as well. I think Ab Soul as well. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. But B, is this your first time listening to Rayvon? Really like that? Have you heard any of his singles before this?
I've been a long time subscriber to the TDE YouTube channel. So every time they introduce an artist, I always click, especially if I want familiar with them. And every time like Rayvon was dropping like in 2021 and stuff like that, I check out some of his songs. I'm like, yo, this kid's talented. Like I see more from him, especially like I guess character. You know what I'm saying? It's like what like when how you felt about Reason. Like I always felt that Rayvon had a little bit more than me. You know what I'm saying? So I liked his music, and I like sometimes when he step out of that, he could step out of the want to be, introspective rappity rap bag. He actually makes some fun tracks. So this is, of course, my first time actually listening to a full body project from him because I don't know if he ever put out any other EP or anything. I don't know. I'm not
I think he
familiar
put
with
out
that.
I think he put out some EPs. I'll look it up while you
Yeah.
while you talk.
But yeah, that one thing I have to do is check out those EPs that he have because I wasn't following the singles he dropped for this. So I was new to this like a week before it was coming out. Like I did not know that he was dropping singles and actually songs that's actually on the album, the mixtape, my bad, the mixtape from months ago. I didn't know. I wasn't familiar. I had to look that up today actually be like, was he actually promoting this? But I didn't see anything. So I was hip to this album, not my bad. The mixtape. I'm gonna call it a project. I was into this project last week, so
Mhm.
but I don't know. B, I want to hear your thoughts. B, I want to hear your thoughts first
You
because
want
I
to hear
know
my thoughts
you.
first?
Yeah,
Well,
I want to hear
because you
your
know I
thoughts. Stuff.
what?
I know how you. You already threw shots to the man about the whole
The
the
whole
Kendrick
Kendrick being
pop
my
out
daddy
thing.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
he
just a nasty
did.
bar. It's a thing of like intent, right? And sometimes it's all about execution. I know what your intent behind that bar was. The execution was just horrible. Don't ever call another man your daddy. But
Yeah, he did. But he
he
actually
didn't
didn't
literally
call
say
Kendrick
it.
his
He said the
daddy.
pop Kendrick made the pop
The
out for guys without dads or
he
whatever.
said the
But it's
I
like,
think he said the pop up did something for the people that they don't have dads or something like that.
yeah,
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 so
kind of. What's the we're bringing back real hip hop term. That's what we gotta deem that term be. Bringing back real hip hop term. That was kind of fringing on that. You know what I'm saying? But this album, I mean, this mixtape is about 11 tracks. I will say this is my first time ever listening to Ray Vaughn on his own, besides the Joey disc. Going into this project, I didn't have high expectations because, like you said, I didn't know about the singles that was dropping for this. I only heard about this because of the newsletter that TDE sent me because, I bought something from their site before. But going into this project, Flocker's Remorse, I was like, all right, cool. I get it. And the one thing I have to say about this project, for me, my first listen, I didn't really enjoy it like that. And the reason I say that is because I felt like there wasn't that punch there to me. What's his name? Rayvon has the introspection. He has the vulnerability. But to me, he just didn't have that punch when it came to him rapping. At least on my first initial listen. It's still kind of like that as well, but I've done about 3 listens of this project so far. Over this project, it's kind of like a thematic slash storytelling album where he has a lot of skits that tie in some of the songs or like wrap up some of the songs themselves. He's talking about like on songs Flat Shasta about his mother being, I believe, mentally ill, I believe. The struggles that he had growing up, all of his siblings being put out of the house by his mom, things like that, but him still having this love and fondness for his mother. We got Triple X LT, which is like the banger track on this project. Flocker's Remorse, him talking about robbing the store that they, casually or usually go to, that they were like, hey, no, you thinking about robbing them, but they know you. Like we go there often. Yeah, and he has some features on here which I did like, Isaiah Rashad, J Rock, and I like La Russell as well. Um, Going into this project, like I said, the introspection is there in terms of like him being vulnerable, him talking about his personal life. He does that a lot. And that can be a bit overbearing because I'm getting to know you now. I kind of wanted the more balance of like those turn uppy tracks because like I said, I get it. Like Flocker's Remorse, he's talking about the things that he has to do to get to the life that he's at now and some of the stuff that he did regret. I get it from that aspect. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're giving me something that is giving me a good amount to digest. But like I said, that punch just wasn't there for me. Like, I don't know if it's his performance, him vocally, voice wise. I don't know what it is. This isn't a bad project. And to me, after my third listen, I finally realized he reminds me of Meek Mill, a less punchier version of Meek Mill, where his lyrics, his lyrical ability, his performance isn't going to be crazy off the wall like that. Obviously, Meek has a lot more charisma than this dude. But in terms of like what I get from this project, this reminds me of Meek Mill. This gives me heavy Meek Mill energy. It could be a good thing or a bad thing. This is Meek Mill, but the West Coast version of it, but it doesn't have as much punch or oomph to it to me. Like I said, he is a lot more vulnerable than Meek is, but this is just this one project where he's doing all this. I need to see a bit more bodies of work. But I will say though, at times when he's getting with someone else that's West Coast, it was hard to tell him apart from the other person. Like that Laura, like the song with him and LaRussell, it was hard for me to kind of tell them apart vocally because they sound a bit too similar. But besides that, I think this project was cool overall. I do like the project overall. I thought it was to me a 3.5. It has a good amount of substance in there. That's the term I was looking for, substance. It has a good amount of substance in there. I just don't know. It's just to me, it's missing that punch. It's not a bad project, but sometimes I felt like he would emulate Isaiah Rashad, or he would get an Isaiah Rashad type beat. He'll remind me of Kendrick, the way Kendrick does that little voice thing or that little flow that Kendrick does, that and thing he used to do in the blog era. This project doesn't stand out enough to me, but it is a lot more substance to what you would usually get from projects in hip hop nowadays. B, I gotta hear your thoughts so that way we can have a conversation on this.
Um, I really enjoyed this, bro. I like this a lot. Vulnerability, like I wrote some notes down, like vulnerability, the introspection, his personality, and he borrowed a lot. But I feel like he borrowed a lot from his affiliates with TDE, but I feel like he
Mhm.
still kind of made it his own because you gotta remember this is an introduction. So all the introspection, yes, it could feel like a bit like bloated, but I feel like we needed it because I actually wanted to know who he was because you hear, you just hear some people, they put out songs, they rap, but you don't really know who the artist is. And I think that's what kind of like put me away from different artists. Like not try to keep naming names, but like artists like Reason why I feel like I didn't like connect with, even though like connecting is not like a big thing for me for artists. But when I get to know you, I could kind of I felt it in his music. Like you said, you felt lack of punch. Like I think this hit with me. Like I was
I,
like
mhm.
I was like,
I was just gonna say, to me, these albums are literally on the opposite spectrums. Reason didn't give me enough introspection, vulnerability. I felt like at times Ray Vaughn
oh,
gave me too much. Like it
now
was
now I'm
overbearing. It
no
wasn't bloated, but it was
now
overbearing. That was
now
my
I'm saying,
thing.
did you listen to Reason other projects though? Because this was just a one
Mm,
off. The thing he put out this year was nothing really.
mm. But
If
I'm
you
just
think about
comparing
it,
these two. I'm just comparing those two to each other, not them as
oh no,
artists.
I wouldn't.
I'm just
No, I'm
comparing
saying
these
I
two
would.
projects.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare the two just because it was a little short EP. Reasons didn't really show. It was just like an aftermath. But like, get back to this project. Like, I really enjoy like this, like some of the storytelling, the skits. It kind of put like he was saying things. I'm like, dang, like it's just thinking about your childhood. Like he was saying how he missed being so close to his cousin, and she's doing drugs now. He just remember like looking for the remote with her
Hmm.
for their
At
grandma, and
grandma's
I'm like,
house.
yeah,
Hmm.
and I'm just like, dang, it just hit me because me going through loss and stuff in life. Sometimes different things would connect with people. So just simple stuff like that. I was like, man, that's dope. I like those details. Like like when it comes to like Flat Shyster, like the creativity of like trying to compare his mom pretty much losing her mind to like a flat soda. He tried to add a little different there, and then that track right there, I'm pretty sure that was really hard to pin, bro. Because like you get vulnerable like that. Like he even said, I think on the first song on Flockers, he was like, "Yo, I don't like really getting too in depth because people like to bring up, your life. You know what I mean? People like to throw that in your face. I don't really like to talk about stuff like that." And this being that introduction, the good, the bad, the dollar menu, it kind of shows you, you got a little bit of good, but for me, I feel like it was a lot of downs in this, but like you can hear like how he sampled Phil from Kendrick Lamar on Dollar Menu. Remember, Ain't Nobody Praying for Me. They sampled that in the beginning of Dollar Menu, but then he switched it. Second beat was more of an
Mhm.
upbeat track.
I like that. I
So
like that.
yeah, I like that a lot. Like even when it came to Triple XL, Triple XLT, he did the same thing. More bounce. But it started off bouncy, and I get the Meek Mill references, especially from the beginning of the intro, because it gives you like this build up of like it give you Meek Mill like Meek Mill vibe. Especially, I thought the beat was gonna drop. I was waiting on the beat to
Hmm.
drop, but it's like this build he just gives you, and you have this guy like singing or whatever, and then kind of setting the tone. And but he have tracks, bro. Like he did 3 p.m. at the Dairies when I'm like, hold up, bro, what Isaiah at? Because I'm not
Hmm.
listening to track list. I just played
Remember I
it.
told you. Remember I told
Yeah,
you. I
I'm like,
said this sounds like,
I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah.
this Isaiah right here, where he at? And then he, like I said, he borrows from people that he's around, affiliates, you know what I'm saying? But he still to me makes his own because he creates his own, he made his own world, like who he is. This is his story he's telling. And then he hits you with East Chat with Isaiah Rashad, like flowing into that. Cause it's like he kind of knew, like, yeah, I gave y'all Isaiah Rashad. Let me give
Hmm.
y'all Isaiah. And I was like, yo, that's dope. And then going into Clown Dance with him and J Rock, bro, J Rock on that joint. I love when J Rock just get the rapping, bro. Like, Ray did his thing on there, but like that beat and how J Rock was on there too. Like, J Rock got a really dope voice for hip hop. And look at God was dope. It was another like it was like that West Coast track with him and Lil Russell. I think he had like two verses on there. I really like this, bro. This one had me dance. I'm like, see, this is what I really liked about this project because yes, he gave you a good amount of storytelling, a good amount of introspection, but he still dabbled that, those bouncy tracks on here. And like you could say, like sometimes it's hard to balance, but I was thinking that when you said that, I was like, maybe on his next project, he'll probably give you more lighter things, show different versatility in that way. But
Hmm.
but being vulnerable and just shows who's a true artist to me. Like to actually talk about things, like you said, that substance, that what brings me into the album. And we can go into like Janky Compass, yeah, with him and what's her name, Samara Sin, Samara.
Samara Sin. I think it's Samara
Yeah,
Sin. This
I
is
love the
where
beat
he
on this.
sounds a lot like Isaiah Rashad on this one. I was like, I
Yeah, it's that.
hear Isaiah on here.
Yeah, that bag. Yeah, he got he sounded like Isaiah in this to me as well. But I like the song. Production was
Hmm.
dope. It's nothing on here I disliked.
Hmm.
And Miles Away from Heaven was dope. Like I think that's when he was like life must be what hell must be a block party. No, death must be a block party because life is
Hmm.
hard. Like
Hmm.
he was speaking on that. And then Suburban Kids was like probably my favorite track. I like how he ended it. It was really, it was like Suburban Kids, but this boy was telling some hood kid stories, bro. Like my whole family struggled from addiction. Bro was like,
Hmm.
he had one line when he goes, I got the BDBs on my neck what do you say? I got the BDBs on my neck
You know I'm bad
like
with
Mardi,
lines.
I got the BDBs on my neck like Mardi Gras. I'm trying to see how much a Holocaust or something like that. It was
Oh
some
yeah.
line goes into that. I was like, all right. Bro was on here saying so he have some
Hmm.
like he rapping, bro. Like he got some stuff
Hmm.
on here. I'm like, all right. I'm rocking with the little bars. Yeah, he had one bar and he was
Hmm.
just like, I pay everything with street cred. Like it was just little
Hmm.
stuff like that he was saying. I'm like, I'm messing with it. But as a debut, I think this is probably one of my favorite albums I listened to this year. Especially from someone that,
Mm.
yeah, especially from some like my favorite project. Like especially from like the introspection, bro. I don't know. I tell you that I'm a sucker for like storytelling. I'm a sucker for things like this, like that,
Hmm.
getting really into like, what's going on in your mind, like what got you like this. And I think he executed, he knew what he had to do. And like he got signed by them, I think in 2022, 2021. I could be
Hmm.
wrong. I could have been 2020. And you know how TDE is. They like to develop their artists, they like to wait.
Hmm.
It's the same formula. Just look at the formula from all the other artists, B. Like it's that formula. And they was probably like, hey, you gotta give us that you got to give us the tracks where you actually tell your story. They got to know who you are, and I think with this right here, he's telling his story. He letting you know who he is, and he also give you, that he show you his personality with some of the bouncy tracks, with the dollar menu track, the double XL, the look at guy. I don't, hey, if you look at my
I
my
said
thing,
I
it's
gave this a
all
three or three
yeah,
and a half.
yeah.
But
I I could
I
yeah,
agree
I
with you
could
because I liked all the songs. I think the
yeah,
thing
yeah.
is, like I told you, to me it's too overbearing. It's like trauma dumping. You get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like I'm just like I can't see myself returning to this. A lot of it because of the subject matter.
Hmm.
Like
And
on initial listen, like I said, it has that substance. It has that vulnerability. But in terms of
mhm,
me just wanting to jam something, this isn't what I'm going to go to for that. Not saying that
yeah.
this is a bad thing for this, but in terms of replayability, because of that, it does lower it. And to me, it's because it doesn't have that balance like a Good Kid, Mad City or like a My Crazy Life. Those are the only two that I
Hmm.
can really compare it to as of right now, because these are all storytelling West Coast hip hop albums that we have that kind of
Hmm.
have that balance of introspection, but it also has that balance of those bouncy tracks as well. This to me was a trauma dump session, which isn't
But
bad all the way because it does have its bouncy moments here and there. But when he gives you those trauma dump situations, he's trauma dumping. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, this is heavy. This
it's
is
kind of
very
like
heavy.
it's it's kind of similar in the vein of like Control Systems in a way, because Control Systems not no light album. He's on there,
He gives
not
you those introspective tracks, but I think Absol has a perfect balance on that album as well. But that's because that album is a fully thought out
yeah.
album.
But
You know what
look,
I'm
this one,
saying?
yeah. But so like when I'm gonna give him some leeway just because this is his first debut mixtape that we
I
we we
agree.
don't have nothing else. So that's the
Uh-huh.
only reason why the replayability for this. Usually I grade people high off this if I'm gonna go back to it, like if I'm thinking about it, but it's not gonna affect me. I think it was a good introduction. Now you got me, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's making these tracks. He
Hmm.
shows you I can make the bouncy track, but I can make the
Hmm.
introspection track. I can get in different pockets. So now his next album, I'll be expecting more from him
I
because
agree, which
I
is a
want
hard
them more.
precedent.
You know what I'm saying? I like that balance. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to set the standards now because I actually just want to focus on the project he put out. And I think it
Mhm.
was a really good. I think this is not stellar, but I think it was just. I think it was
I think
really
it
good.
was
Like he
solid.
knew.
I think it was solid.
He knew the assignment, and I think he executed on it. And like I can't. I really don't have nothing really bad to say. Like having a critique on like saying, "Hey, yo, bro, you was getting into the trauma." You know what I'm saying? But like I understand you want us to know who you are, what you come from, and the things you deal with in life. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I understand it. I
Yeah.
get you. But
Hmm.
now on your next project, let's see what else you got. Because it's still stuff, bro. It's stuff that he brought up that he didn't even expound on. Like
Hmm.
him saying his baby mom died after giving birth to their child.
Hmm.
He can't even think about it. That's some more
But that's what I'm
stuff.
saying. But B,
He
that's what I'm
he
saying.
B
When it
he
comes to
gave
that
you
stuff, that stuff is
B
heavy. I'm
B
not
he
gonna
gave you a
replay that.
B he gave you a piece of that. And then we could get into the voicemail from his mom. Because look, first time I heard the
Oh,
voicemail from
when
his
she was cussing him out.
First time I heard the voicemail from his mom, I'm thinking, okay, boom, yeah. My mom cussed me out all the time. Like that sounds mad familiar. Like I grew up hearing that type of talk. But she saying, I'm gonna air you out, kind of tripped me out. Like, I'm like, air
Hmm.
him out. I'm like, hey, I'm like, is that really his mom? And then I'm like, oh no, nah, man. And then we got into saying, like, yo, my mom actually deal with like mental issues. Like
Uh-huh.
she needs some, psych meds. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, because you're like, man, look, my mom sent me this crazy message. At first I'm like laughing, like thinking about, but I'm like, oh nah, that's a little different. She's saying airing him out. Then she pretty much was talking down on her grandkid. Like, you go take care of that baby. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dang. And like I feel for him right there, bro. And then him being, I guess more vulnerable to like put something like that out, bro. It's just that's what I'm saying. It's like he put it all on the line. Like not all of it,
Hmm.
but most of it. You know what I'm saying? Because he still got
Yeah. He
more.
put
And
he put a lot.
he
Yeah.
put a lot out here, bro. And so I think this was like when they say you got your whole life to make your first album,
Hmm.
this kind of felt that way. Like I don't know what else you can go from here but balance it out, right? And get into some details we don't know. But
Hmm.
like the stuff he told on here was just like, all right, like this is some stuff sometimes people open up about, later on in their
Later on the
career.
third album,
But
maybe
but
the
I think
second
he's
album.
but I think he's later on in his 20s, you know what I'm saying? Like in his later 20s. I don't know exact age, but
Hmm.
you could tell, he got 3 kids, he got 3 daughters, and it's like he actually lived life, a lot of life. So I think he just pretty much had a lot to say. And it kind of was therapy for him, I guess. But he
Mhm.
also, like I said, wanted to put out some bouncy stuff too. But you could tell that he had a lot to talk about, like the B&Es and breaking
Mhm.
the injuries. Uh, just I don't know, man. I liked it
Flocking.
though. The
Yeah.
flockers, bro. The flocker remorse. Like I understand it. I appreciate it, especially from a new artist and our introduction to him. Because now I'm not wondering who is Ray Vaughn. Like who is Ray? I just don't feel like I know who he is. I
Mhm.
feel like that from certain artists. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really trying to name names and compare because it's about Ray
Mhm.
Vaughn here, but
Mhm.
I think he did really well on this beat. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
for me, like I said, the two things I'm mostly lacking on here, not lacking, but it's like I said, the trauma dumping, that's gonna cause me not to want to come back to this project. That's not a
mm,
bad thing in terms of like, oh, that means I'm saying the project is bad. It's just the fact of what mood am I gonna want to be put in to listen to this whole project and listen to
it's
some of
like
the subject matter.
Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
No, because I actually like this more than Mr. Morale and Big Steppers, but that's besides the point.
But no, I'm saying, this is 11 tracks, but Mr. Morale gave you 2 discs of trauma dumps, right?
Oh yeah, but see the problem with Mr. Morale is it need to sound good too. At
Yeah,
least
the palette, yeah.
this sounds good. This is my
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's why I'm saying like I said we're not gonna make this about Kendrick, but he gave me a concise body of work right here. 11 tracks, I believe like 30 to 40 minutes. I could be wrong on that. He gave me some of those bounce tracks. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, when I'm looking at this Ray Vaughn guy, to me, I'm looking at him and I'm not trying to compare him to one thing to another because I know it's different. But the best way for me to compare it to someone who does not know Ray Vaughn, to me, this is the
Mm-hmm.
West Coast Meek Mill. That's the best way I could put it. Because when I heard this stuff like Flocker's Remorse, Double XLT, Dollar Menu, and some of the more introspective tracks, I got that Meek Mill energy from him. I got that same feeling when I was listening to Dream Chasers 1 and 2. Like this is the same stuff that I'm getting from Ray Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the project for me is too vulnerable. That's what's going to throw me off from going back to listen to it. Is it a bad thing? No, because like I said, this project has a lot of substance in it that a lot of artists do not give out nowadays. Not a bad thing, but it's going to hinder my replayability factor for it. When you go onto my Spotify, I liked every single song because I'm like, I get
Mm-hmm.
it. The skits, and also I do want to give him credit on this one too, B. He has a billion skits in here, but none of them are overbearing. They all tie into each other, the theme and the actual story that's happening on this project right here. Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna lie, when TDE sent me that newsletter saying like, "Oh, he's really this is the best at storytelling" or some stuff like that, I'm like, "Oh, they overhyping it." When I heard the project, I'm like, I get it conceptually and thematically. I get it. I'm not mad at that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, because there's some albums that we've heard where they try to put the skits in and the skits just be too much. The
Yeah.
skits, they got to the point, they got you into the next song, boom. This was good music overall, especially the songs that wasn't too overbearing. Like I said, the songs were like Isaiah Rashad, J Rock,
Mm-hmm.
Russell, even Jakey Moral Compass, even though he was channeling his inner Isaiah Rashad right there, double
Mm-hmm.
XLT, Dollar Menu, especially when you was talking about that flip. Oh, that flip beat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not the flip, but the beat
Yeah,
change.
the
I'm
beat
like,
change, yeah.
and I even like Flocker's Remorse. I thought that this is a really solid
Mm-hmm.
intro for the actual album itself. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I gave this a three, 3.5. I think this is a very solid body of work. I put it in the middle of that range of like a My Crazy Life and a Good Kid, Mad City in terms of like another West Coast album. We got storytelling, you got some introspection. You're telling us about your life story and things like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it's deeply in the middle, like oh, it's half bangers and half introspection. I'm saying like if I had to put it somewhere on that moral compass, I mean not moral compass, but hip hop like album compass, I put it somewhere like in the middle. Like that's where I would put this album at
And
because
I
it does do
oh,
storytelling.
and one thing I don't want to not talk about is like I like that he don't shy away like where he's from and have the regional sounds in there. Like, we a big proponent of regional sounds, and I like that he
I
had his
agree.
West Coast tracks on here. So
I
I,
agree.
I respect that. I respect that, man. Keep your region on the map, man. I think we should continue to let us know where you're from. You know what I mean? So I like that.
I agree. I completely agree. I needed the West Coast bumping songs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but like I said, the only thing for me, too overbearing. Once we come out with the album, this is going to be cool when it's spread out. When you're gonna have the
Mm-hmm.
more bounty tracks, the more introspective tracks, especially those songs where you're gonna go deep into like the actual details of like certain things happening, and you're gonna fully flesh out the song, fully flesh out the theme or the actual story that you're trying to
B.
tell. I don't know if he
We
is
need
gonna be storytelling in the next one.
I
Go
think
ahead.
he will, but look, you gotta think about it. We didn't get the love track, we didn't get the lady track, and nothing on here. We didn't get that. So I'm saying
Yeah,
he still has a lot to cover. But I just think
exactly.
that he gave you that introduction, who he is, where he
Hmm.
come from.
Hmm.
Bang. This
That's
set
what
for
I'm
my
saying with
debut
the
mixtape.
album. It's going to be one. It's going to be longer because this is a
Mm-hmm.
mixtape, as they like to call it. It's going to be longer. It's going to be more fleshed out, and I think that balance that I'm seeking from a project like this, I'm going to get more in something like that. You get what I'm
But
saying?
yeah, and one another thing, like I think the length is a really good length, like 42 minutes. That's like a solid album for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just the song selection and just 11 tracks because he's on here. He's giving you three verses on some tracks, B. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So like even on the intro, I believe like he's rapping on here. Like I think that fills up the time. But like I said, I think he had a lot to say. He had a lot to get out. He used this as therapy. So and with the album and also the skits being not separate and also being a part of the songs also put more on the time as well. But I think
Mm-hmm.
with the album he will probably, like you said, it'd be more balanced and like fleshed out a little more and then kind of have you
Mm-hmm.
like more diversity in song, I guess, arrangements, you know what I'm saying?
And
So
selection.
and
Mm-hmm.
selections, yeah. So because this
Yeah.
was in the vein is kind of similar in the more in the samey bag, but to me, like you said, it's not a bad thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it could be over,
And
you know.
he on some stuff he does wear his influences on his sleeve. Like I said, that one song like Jake Moral Compass, or that other song, like you said, 3 p.m. at Dairies.
Mhm.
It sounds like Isaiah Rashad. Like I'm like, okay, this is the
Mhm.
Isaiah Rashad type beat. This is the type of Isaiah Rashad type flow,
Mhm.
which isn't bad because that's your label mate. But
Yeah.
also, like I said, that's where certain things sometimes where you're lacking that punch for me. Not
Hmm.
saying it's a well, it's not a good thing, but I just I want to see how he grows as an artist, basically, because this stepping stone right here, you gave me a lot of trauma. Now the next project, you're most likely gonna have to balance that trauma with more up tempo, bouncy like tracks. Because I see that you could give them to me on here. Pause.
Hmm.
I see that you gave these songs to me on here. I guess I'm trying to see where will he go from here because you gave me a lot of introspection on here, even though it wasn't super introspective, a lot of vulnerability on here. Where's the next step after this? Because
Hmm.
now that I'm looking at the timeline, like you said, 40 something minutes. I believe projects like a 9059 was like 40 minutes, B. So
Hmm.
I was like, where do we go from here?
Yeah. No, he got me excited, B. I'm
I'm
looking forward.
anticipating the next project.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
we gonna put the next
anticipating
one in
his
the
next.
chamber, B?
Of course, because hey, he has a positive review from us. We both like this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we have some critiques, but like,
They not
we
bad to
like.
where I'm not to listen to it. That's
Nah,
what it is.
nah. I recommend people to check this project out. I don't see many
Mhm,
people talking about it.
mhm,
I think people talk about. I think this is a really good introduction to a
mhm.
new artist, especially as a debut mixtape, man. And one thing, he shout out to Tiki Punch. Tiki Punch is still one of my favorite drinks of all time. You know, go to your local Family Dollar and get you one. Fire, blue can. Gotta get your Tiki Punch, bro. He said Flash Shiesty. I'm like, oh no. I know he better shout out this Tiki. Don't get the root beer. You gotta get that Tiki. I don't know if you know anything about the Tiki Punch, B. Yeah, come on. That Tiki Punch.
But I
Hey,
haven't. Come on, I haven't drunk juice out of a can in I don't know how long though.
yeah, but that's that soda though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
that takes a little. Hey, B, I'm going to go get some. I don't drink soda like that, but hey,
You,
Tiki Punch. You say what?
I don't drink it at all. So
Dr. Pepper's my one of my favorites. So sometimes if I get a chance to swig on a DP, I'm gonna do it. I love that DP, bro.
why? Like I said, the good, the bad, the dollar menu. Let us know if y'all listen to it. Let us know if you're gonna check it out. One of the more introspective and one of the more personable albums projects that we have
Mhm.
gotten this year. And this is one of TDE's newer artists. So now they're trying to get the ball rolling on Ray Vaughn. Let's see where this goes, especially with the year and this coming out so early on. Let's see where the rest of this year actually goes for Ray Vaughn. But yeah, let us know if y'all
Shout
listen to this down in the comment section down below.
shout out Rayvon, man. Dope project, bro.
Yeah, you will. Your next album, we are anticipating it, and we'll be seeing it in the chamber.
Yes,
But
sir.
Man, shout out to Beyond Beats and Culture.